out very well. Yeah, it worked out
Yeah, it did
great.
for me.
You didn't even watch?
For me, it worked out
didn't
okay.
Even watch? If I'd known you were taking that day off, I'd have taken it off too. I didn't know. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the NBA and Stanley Cup Finals are set. Aaron Judge has a huge night, and the architect of the Warriors leaves the team. But we begin today with the Miami Heat beating the Boston Celtics decisively last night in Game 7 in Boston to halt Boston's march into history and advance to the NBA Finals. Wilbon, what do you make of what you saw?
Tony, I was stunned, not by Miami winning, because we know this series was unpredictable from Game 1, from the start of the series, with Miami winning 2 in Boston. But Boston just sort of shriveling up and dying again, which we had seen in Game 3. And I thought they hit rock bottom in that game. I'm sorry, in Game 4. And I didn't think that would happen again. And I know Jason Tatum got hurt early, sprained his ankle in the very first play of the game. But just Boston's either inability or unwillingness to acknowledge what is obvious to everybody who's ever shot a basketball. The long ball's not working tonight. Let's go to plan B. They appear to be, Tony, these individually, these guys are smart people. They are. I know them. I've been around them. But to play that dumb, to just shoot threes and miss them all and not have a plan B and not counter and not adjust and not say, let me get my butt to the basket. Tony, that got me. And, of course, Miami is just disciplined and well-coached, and they give you everything they've got all the hours of the day. It may not be good enough because they're not the most talented roster in the world, but they give you what they've got and what they had in this series, and led by Jimmy Butler. I'm so impressed with them. And at the same time, I'm looking at Boston going, what are you people doing? You're too good to do this again. You're not the Houston Rockets of a few years ago that missed 29 straight and kept shooting threes, except they were.
Yeah, so I've gotten everything wrong on this series. Before it began, I thought Boston was decisively the better team, and I thought they would win in about 5 games. I was wrong about that. When Miami took the 3-0 lead, I was pretty confident they'd close out Boston in Game 6 in Miami. And then last night, I was totally wired into the fact that Boston was going to win. So I got everything wrong. Boston stunk. And let me repeat that for the West Coast. They stunk. When you talk about threes, Mike, they shot 9 for 42. That's 21%. That is terrible. On the basis of the entire year this year, when they hit 15 or more threes, they won an alarmingly high percentage of the time.
Yeah.
They got 9. Jaylen Brown had 8 turnovers, 8, and he shot 8 for 23. They lost 3 of the 4 home games in Boston. A championship team doesn't do that. It's really, really bad. What was the other note I took? I understand.
It's a flawed team.
I understand that Jason Tatum got hurt, but where was the rest of the team? Mike, in a Game 7 at home, 84 points is horrendously bad.
1980s.
I bought into the mythology. That because it was Boston, because of the Yankees, because when they beat the Patriots beat the Falcons, that they were going to win this game. This is I believe, a terrible loss. And now it's 0-151, and I'm not going down that rabbit hole again. I'm not.
Yeah. Tony, they're so seriously flawed. And I know what else you bought into. It's just unspoken, but I'm going to mention it as we go out on the next story. You sat in Boston Garden in your life for a lot of games over a lot of years when you were covering basketball.
Yeah.
And the Celtics, they might have lost, but they never looked like that last night, did they?
Not like that. Why would you give Jaylen Brown $275 million? Exactly why would you do that?
$295. Don't cheat him by $20 million. Just saying. They got a lot of changes coming up to me, Tone, because that team is flawed. The Heat now advance to face the Nuggets in the NBA Finals, which start Thursday in Denver. Nikola Jokic's team has been sitting at home at the crib, as Timmy Hardaway would say, since sweeping the Lakers last Monday night, 8 nights ago. For the Heat, Tyler Hero is expected back, most likely by Game 3. Tone, your initial thoughts on this matchup, Heat-Nuggets.
So my first thought is that this is for dyed-in-the-wool basketball fans and not casual basketball fans. I don't think they're going to start watching it. I think the ratings are going to be bad. I think that Denver is a very, very good team, and Miami is on a spectacular run in the playoffs, but there is a decided lack of glamour in this particular series. The best player out there, Nikola Jokic, may be the most unglamorous great player in the history of the NBA. Like, you expect him to just carry a lunch pail out there. He's just not glamorous.
Wow.
You've talked about that being in the 4th time zone, and most Americans think there's only 3. Miami is a admirable team, but the body of Miami, take Jimmy Butler off this, great player.
Right.
The body of Miami is built around undrafted guys. Let's just read a couple of guys here. Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson. They were not even drafted to this point, Mike, and I know you will agree with this. And Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. But the most glamorous person on Miami Heat is still Pat Riley. So I think it's going to take a game 6 or a game 7 to build an audience for it.
Yes, Tony, I'm glad you mentioned Pat Riley. I'm trying to make my wardrobe suitable that if I walk into Pat Riley in a hallway somewhere, I might get a compliment. That's what I care most about in this matchup. Tony, you look, I'm not going to argue with any of the points you made. Nikola Jokic, who people will get an eyeful of if they haven't already. Like, maybe they just tuned in for the Lakers series and went, who is this big dude? Who is he?
Right.
Well, they're going to get more, Tony, because you look, Bam is Adebayo. He like that team. He comes to work. He's an admirable player. Tony, when he stands next to Jokic, it's going to look like you and me standing next to Jokic. Jokic is so much bigger than Bam. So Eric Spoelstra, who is a brilliant coach, he's got to come up with scheme, and people have to buy into it and kill themselves to even slow Jokic down and put him in the middle lane and keep him out the left lane. But, Tony, between that and what Denver's got, I'm intrigued by this because Miami's on such a roll, Tone. Maybe Cinderella doesn't come to pro sports. It doesn't. No, but maybe
God
they're
bless
that.
them. They're an 8.
Yeah.
God bless them for being an 8. And I just think that the only thing you can do is you probably have to take Kevin Love and Adebayo and make Jokic into a sandwich. Because if you leave him alone, he's going to get 15 assists
one-on-one,
every game.
He's going to crush you. Yeah.
He really is. We move now to hockey. If you think the basketball was a dud, which it was, the hockey was non-competitive. Las Vegas pounded Dallas in Dallas 6-0 to move into the Stanley Cup final, where they will face the Florida Panthers, who have won 11 of their last 12 playoff games. Well, do you see the Panthers as Nuggets-like favorites or Heat-like overachievers?
Well, Tone, I don't want to call them overachievers because they just won a year ago the President's Trophy. So you can't say they're underachievers. It's the same nucleus of players, largely the same team. And the Heat, by the way, yes, they're 8 now, but they were 1 in the East last year, weren't they? They at least had the home court advantage over Boston because Game 7 was in Miami. So both those teams, my God, are people tired of the South Florida teams? People got tired of New England teams for a while. In South Florida, everybody from college teams, I mean, you know, the U in the tournament, and it goes on and on and on with the teams in South Florida. I'm not going to say that they're underdog, Tony. I understand that, oh my goodness, Vegas sitting right there in Vegas must be the betting favorite. But I'll take Florida in that matchup. I'll take the Panthers.
Yeah. So